Well, I just finished episode 2 of Made in Abyss. And I gotta say, this definitely has maintained my high expectations for it. After the first episode, I was very impressed. Second episode, I figured it might kind of degrade a little bit because usually the second episode is not as good as like a first episode because the first episode is meant to get you into the series. I expected this episode to be nowhere near the level of the first episode, but I was completely wrong. Episode 2 of Made in Abyss had a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue, a lot of world building, but it was a very fascinating episode. I'm not even gonna lie. I am heavily debating on reading on ahead. I am heavily debating that. Not even gonna deny that. I'm very fascinated about this series. I like the lore. I like the presentation of how the society works. I like just the information on how some of the relics work, to the characters in general. I might read ahead. I might read the manga, or a light novel. I think this is based off of a manga, but I could be wrong. It could be a light novel. Regardless of whatever it is, I'll find out. But I might read ahead. I truly do like this series. I'm just saying that. Not as a reviewer. Not as a reviewer. I'm just saying as a fan. As an anime watcher, I like this series. I legit like this series right now. Having a lot of fun with it. Definitely something that I am truly enjoying right now. And it's definitely something that is standing out. And gotta say right now, this is definitely looking like it could be the anime of the season. It really is looking like that. But it, like I said many times in other videos and stuff, this show could easily degrade in quality, depending on where the animators take it, to how the story is in general. It could easily become absolute shit. But for now, though, from the first 2 episodes, not as a reviewer, but as just an anime watcher, I have thoroughly enjoyed this show. Made in Abyss is pretty fun. It's a very fun series, and it's definitely keeping me entertained. So, with that being said, though, we finally got the reason behind the title. Made in Abyss. When you first look at the title and you think about the character that was introduced in episode 1, and then also we get a little bit more details on him in episode 2, you would assume Made in Abyss would reference, our main male character, Reg, I think that's how you pronounce it, that is a robot. He looks like a boy, but he's a robot. Most likely his origins, he might be a regular human boy, but he was converted into whatever he is now. That is most likely his plot point or plot line with his character. I could see that happening, especially from what we've been finding out about the details of how the Abyss works. But for now, though, regardless of his origins, or if that was really, or if he is a real boy or not, that was turned into a robot, the point stands is that we all assume the title referenced him. But that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. In fact, the title Made in Abyss references our main female character, Riko, that was born in the Abyss. And so, when she was born in the 4th layer, she was saved by her mother that carried her out through using a relic, but she was born there on the 4th layer. And normal children that are born, or anyone that's born there, or even coming back, it's not good. You'll probably die. And so, for that to be done, for the baby Riko to come back like that, it's kind of like saying she was born in the Abyss. And so, the title Made in Abyss references her. Not just Reg, but also her. So that's cool. I like the meaning behind the title. Now, besides the title, we get a little bit more details or world building on how the Abyss works in general. So, it's not just the fact that the deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes. We now know that the deeper they go, there's like this curse that is applied on top of all our characters. Now, we don't know necessarily if this is a curse like a magic type of curse. Now, we do know that there is magic in this series, clearly, because we do know now that there's relics that can stop time. So there is magic in this series. However, we don't know if the Abyss is actually cursing people or if it's actually the change in pressure. Now, hear me out, okay? I think many of us might know when it comes to, like, pressure changes, it could have negative effects on the body. For instance, that's why, the sea floor, the ocean floor in our world, real life, hasn't really been explored that much. The deep parts of the trenches is because if you go down that deep, you will die. The pressure is just so crazy that it will crush anything that goes down there. And I'm assuming that's probably what's going on with the Abyss. The deeper you go, the pressure is hurting people. For instance, that's why it's causing headaches. That's why it's messing with your eyes, why you're bleeding and all that. The pressure of going deeper and deeper into the earth is hurting their bodies. Now, there could be other effects to this. It could be a curse as well. But I believe a big part of this most likely is pressure as well. The deeper they go, the pressure of the planet is hurting them, which is causing it to why they might die if they try to leave. For instance, their body probably grows accustomed to the pressure, or it kind of stabilizes into a certain point. And if they try to leave that, it just kills them. It's kind of like a fish, okay? You know those fishes that are like the ugliest? I think there's a picture of it. Like the ugliest fish in the world, like a blobfish or whatever. Basically, there's this fish. It looks like a normal fish, but it's in a very deep part of the ocean. It doesn't swim to the top layer at all. But if you were to pull this fish out from the bottom part of the ocean to the top layer, because of the pressure shift, the fish just deflates like a fucking balloon. It's just like a big, soggy fish pile of like meat or whatever. Just, it looks disgusting. And so I feel like that's probably what's happening there. Maybe in an extreme way, because there could be more details to this because of magic and stuff. But I feel like since they're going so low, their bodies are adjusting to the pressure change. And if they try to go up, maybe too quickly, they will die, because the pressure is just so radical that it's just causing their body to die. So that could be the case here. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I'm assuming a lot of the things that's going on with the characters has to do with pressure. But regardless of pressure, curses, or whatever, I do like the world building. I do like how that was revealed, and how our characters, if they go deeper and deeper, it's certain death. If you go down too far, you will die. There's just nothing you can do. But I find it very interesting that how there was a big distinction between death and the loss of humanity. That is what really caught my attention in this episode. Because when you think about loss of humanity, you think of death. That's what I think of. When I think of someone losing their humanity, I think that either A, you're losing your humanity because you've killed someone, like you murdered someone, and you lost your sense of right and wrong, like your morals or whatever. And maybe that is what you can apply loss of humanity to. But the series really made it a big point to showcase that there was a difference between the loss of humanity and death. Death will happen, but also loss of humanity. And that's what made me question, like, okay, what do they mean here, loss of humanity? Do they mean that you'll go insane? Is that what they're trying to say? Like, you'll lose your sanity, where you'll no longer be yourself, you'll just go completely crazy? If so, that's pretty fucking scary. That's honestly, that could be a fate worse than death, if you lose your humanity going so deep. So that's definitely not a pressure problem, I wouldn't think, anymore. That's definitely sounding like magic or a curse. So I'm kind of curious to see what's really down there and what is causing that and how deep the abyss really goes, which makes the series very fascinating, and why I love it so much is because you don't really know what to expect, since it's just a hole of mysteries. You don't know what is really down there. So, like I said, I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm liking what it's done thus far. So, let's talk about some of the comedy points of this episode. Now, comedy, subjective, obviously. If you like comedy or you don't like comedy, it really just depends on your personal taste. However, there was some comedy at the beginning of this episode that truly made me laugh. I had a good laugh. Now, it's kind of more of a crude, humor. It's not humor that's necessarily for everyone because of the way it was done, but I had a good laugh from it because it was just like so dark and unexpected. I'm like, holy shit. So, as we know, Rico, from what we've seen from her personality, she's very bubbly. She's someone that gets excited and all that. She likes to find things. She wants to become an adventurer and all that. Well, we see in this episode that thanks to, Reg, since he's a robot and he's technically a relic and all that, she was probing his body, trying to figure out how he works or what is really going on, what makes him tick. And she goes along with saying that she tried to light him on fire, burn him. He didn't catch on fire. I'm like, what the fuck? And that was, like, how it started. And you can see the despair in Reg's face when he finds out what she did to him while he was unconscious. Tried to light him on fire. She straight up tried to check his belly button to see what was going on there, but then she went around to check his fucking butthole. Like, she checked his fucking butthole. What the fuck? What the fuck? And then she took a stick. A fucking stick. Apparently. Equivalent to a stick. And shoved it up his ass to see how far it would go. Oh my god. Oh my god, I did not think I would see that in this series, especially when she mentioned his fucking, his penis. I was like, was like, am I watching Manga Sensei? I don't know, like, am I watching that? Like, am I back to Manga Sensei? Did I secretly swap to that series or something? But, yeah. That was truly surprising, and I didn't expect that type of comedy in this series, but I guess that's to be expected when this clearly has a darker tone to it that's hiding behind the scenes. Now, let me get into that. So, as I've already said, anime only, I really don't know what to expect. I just do know that this is definitely going to be a dark series. I can tell that it's going to be a dark series. There's just too many things in the series that show that there's going to be a dramatic tone shift in the future. It's going to happen. It's eventually going to happen. You could tell by the way the series is being written. However, there is something behind the scenes that is becoming more and more apparent as you pay attention. The society that these children are working for, want to become cave divers, there's something very corrupt going on here. You can see that the orphanage, they're raising children that have lost their parents. Mainly children that have lost their parents to diving into the abyss. And so these kids, they look up to their parents and they want to find their parents or they want to be like their parents. They've been brainwashed to do that, and they're going into the abyss to make the orphanage more powerful. Give them money, give the country money. So it's kind of like this. This organization, the entire country, the politics to the orphanage and all that, the way they operate, they're using the people to earn them money. And, okay, let me make this a little bit more understandable. Okay, so Riko's mother, she was a renowned cave diver. She was someone that was well known. She was like the best of the best. She is a legend. She is a hero, an idol to many, because she has done things that nobody normally can do. So everybody looked up to her like, holy shit, I want to be like her. She's a hero. She's brought a lot of prosperity to our country. She's brought money, wealth. She has brought in happiness, just so many things. And so when people look at that, they're like, holy shit, I want to be like that. And that gets more people to join in to become cave divers, to be like her. Even if you're never at that point of being that successful, you're still going down there and you're still making the country a little bit more richer. You're actually filling their pockets when you discover any relic. And so the way that society is being done, they're manipulating children that are easily fooled to follow people. It's kind of like this. You could look at it as an extreme example of Boku no Hero Academia. They're manipulating children to be cave divers and make them look like heroes, but in reality, it's not anything that is good for you. Because the way Riko just casually talked about, what happens when they dive into lairs, how you could die or lose, your humanity, that's not something a normal child would say, unless they've been brainwashed their entire life to believe a certain thing or think that is a correct thing to do. And so from what you can see is the society has been built in a way to brainwash everyone to think it's okay to send children into a fucking cave. That's hurting them. It's not okay, but they're brainwashing them to do that. And so there's a lot of things here that are very corrupt and fucked up that you can see in this episode. But also there's another part to be in play right now. We do know that there's foreign countries diving into the abyss. Not just, our cast of characters or their country, but there's foreign countries diving into the abyss. Now, that makes me question how they got down there in the first place, but apparently that is a thing. So it's not just the fact that there's creatures down there that want to kill them and the abyss is cursed that wants to kill them. It's also foreign countries, foreign people that want to kill them. So this is not very safe for children, but they do it anyways. Now, speaking of also how society has been manipulated and how these children are being fooled, let's look at the adventurer that came back, okay, and gave the whistle to Riko in this episode. The way he was explaining things and how he, gave the whistle to Riko, you could see that he does care about his job, what he does. You could see he earnestly actually cares about what he does. He has a lot of pride and respect for it. You could see that. And what he was talking to Riko about how the whistle is very important, what she's trying to do and all that, the weight of it, he wasn't spouting out lies. He wasn't. He was actually talking from the bottom of his heart about the meaning of it. But that's the thing, though. That adventurer, that person that dived into the abyss, he's also an example of brainwashing. He is someone that was brainwashed to be like Riko's mother, and so he dived in. And obviously, he believes in what he does. He believes in the system, how the society is working right now to helping out the government or the country. And because of how he respects it, he will share that belief to children. And then the children will fall into that, and then they will follow that system. And then many generations down the road, that system will still be in place. So clearly the country is very fucking corrupt. They're very corrupt. They don't really care. They're there just to line their pockets and keep their country in #1 spot and maintain a monopoly on the abyss. That is what you see going on here. So, just wanted to point that out, but let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. Great series. Cannot wait to see what happens next. Please be safe. Chibi out.